just came back from Torino. What you just saw was the biggest book fest, an international book fest that we have every year in Torino or Turin, and it was my first time going. I was with the press ticket, so I was there to interview people and do a lot of content videos for the Salone del Libro. It was an experience. I'm mainly here to show you, wait, the books that I acquired. Not all of them in one go, some of them I just had signed because many international authors that I really like were there, including one of my favorite authors of all time, as you saw. I have a funny story about that, but I will tell you in a minute. My review of the Salone del Libro di Torino is that it was a wonderful book fest full of genuinely inspiring people. I saw so many beautiful panels about especially translators. This year the theme was Alice and the Mirror, from the second book in the Alice in Wonderland series. It was, many panels were about the writer and his double, so the translator in Italian. And it was such an interesting conversation to be had. I also met a lot of people that I had never met before in real life, my TikTok friends. They were all so nice. It was so nice. I also acquired a lot of books because the Salone del Libro di Torino is open to all new booksellers and independent bookstores, and it's wonderful to see, even though I could have gone a year without the Mondadori stand. It was so big, it took a lot of the space. Talking about space, there were 215,000 people there in 4 days in a space that could accommodate possibly half of that. It was suffocating in the weekend. Sundays and Saturday were just a nightmare. A lot of the events were not coordinated well, and I felt suffocated to the point that I had to step outside because I was having a little bit of a panic attack. Accessibility, not at all, but you know, it's Italy. That's my review. I had a lot of fun. It was kind of overwhelming at times, but it was wonderful. But first I want to show you the books that I had before and I had signed by the authors. I'm so excited about this. Firstly, one of my favorite authors of all time was there in Torino to promote his new book, the translation of this book in Italian. Emmanuel Carrera was there. The author of Less, one of my favorite books of all time. It talks about a failed gay American writer and his journey to evade his love life, and it's comedic, it's hilarious, it's compelling, it's queer, it's wonderful. And I also bought Less is Lost, the sequel. The day it came out and I found a copy here in Italy. Somebody had bought it and donated it to my library. The day it came out, it was such a weird thing, and I read it. It's just as wonderful, a little bit less. This one is my favorite, but still. So I was there and I bought the Italian translation, which is Less Zonzo. And fun fact, the title sparked a little bit of a controversy because the true translation from Less is Lost is Less si è perso. But Emmanuel Carrera and the translator, who was there, wonderful woman, wanted to keep the comedic, I don't know, alliteration, is it called like that in English, of Less is Lost. So they asked Emmanuel Carrera's fiance, who is an Italian man, and he said, Less zonzo, it's so comedic, which zonzo means just like going around aimlessly. Look! I have all of them signed. The funny thing is that this book helped me a lot through the pandemic and through my queer journey, especially because it brought a lot of joy into my being queer. And I told Emmanuel Carrera that, and I was so scared. I was shaking because I also have social anxiety, and well, you know, I was almost crying, and then he started almost crying because he was like, thank you so much for telling me this. I did not have any of these kind of books when I was growing up, queer and gay, and it's such a pleasure to have written something that is so important to people. And he had like little tears in his eyes. I was crying, he was crying. It was such it was such a magical moment. I will forever recount this encounter. Is so magical. And then if you're in Italy and you don't know about this book, where have you been living? Under a rock. You're Patrick Star. Once upon a time, the author Peter Cameron wrote a book that is called Someday This Pain Will Be Useful to You. This is the book in Italian. There's also a movie, a very famous movie, but it has had a resurgence during the pandemic through TikTok. And everybody in Italy was reading this book, everybody was crying because it is such an honest portray of what it is like growing up queer in the 90s in America and be really angry and frustrated. So I had this signed. It took me an hour and a half of queue to get this signing, but it was so worth it. And then I accompanied my boyfriend to go see his favorite writer, who was also there, who is an internationally acclaimed writer, who is Emmanuel Carrera. You may know him if you've read like Limonov or The Adversary, The Mustache, all of these books. I forgot my copy of Limonov at home, so I had to buy a copy of one of his harder books. This is Io sono vivo, voi siete morti by Emmanuel Carrera. He's a French author, and he was there with his translator, who was a lovely lady, lovely. Emmanuel Carrera scares the shit out of me. He can pierce you with those eyes, like, I know more than you, and you know that. Feel inferior. It was such a scary experience. And I know French. I talked to him in French, and nerve-wracking, but I got it. These are the actual books that I bought, aside from the Carrera one. These are all from small publishers in Italy. A lot of them are translated into Italian, and I was there for this. I was there for the unknown books, unknown publishing houses, unknown authors. Firstly, I bought Gay Bar, Why We Went Out by Jeremy Atherton Lynn. It's a history of gay bars, and I was so drawn to this book, one, because of the cover, but two, because it is such an important topic, especially with Pride Month coming up. I'm going to do on TikTok a series in which I recommend a queer book every day for Pride Month, so be on the lookout for that. The links are all down in the description. This is translated by Sara Reggiani, and it's by Minimum Fax here in Italy. Then I had to give a present to my parents. They're such voracious readers. So from the Edizioni Sette Colori by Gianmaria Donà delle Rose, I bought Sette Giorni a Venezia, una flaneria artistica tra sestieri, bacche e campiali. This is a book about Venice. The title roughly translates to 7 Days in Venice, and for every sestiere, because if you don't know, Venice is divided into sestieri, so the little parts of Venice are called sestieri, and it's a thing that is unique to Venice. And this book talks about every sestiere, each one giving some random historical facts about the artists that used to live there. Then I bought something for my father by Mosca Bianca Edizioni, who is one of my favorite publishers ever. They do a lot of sci-fi, alternative fiction, but also illustrated books. They're so fucking cool. I bought him an illustrated book by Antonio Potenza, illustrated by Kamamoto. It's called Fantasmagoria. I mean, it's such a shiny, tiny book, but the illustrations are so vibrant. Wonderful book. I already read this. It's very cool. This is a dystopian sci-fi. And then my pride and joy. My pride and joy are 2 books. One is by the Italo Svevo Edizioni. It's called Nostalgia della Terra by Mauro Tetti. I walked to the Italo Svevo booth, and the person there was looking at me, looking at the books, and he was like, this is my favorite. If you know One Piece, it's kind of like One Piece. It's kind of like pirates going around. I was like, I'm sorry, sir, did you just say One Piece? Like my favorite manga series ever? So I had to buy it. It's about pirates. The main kid who goes around sailing with pirates is searching for a cube made of mirrors. Weird speculative fiction, but like so cool. And you have the old-timey editions because you have to separate the pages yourself with a knife. So fun. And then the last book I got, it's from a new publisher. The publishing house was born in 2021, so like it's barely 2 years old. And it's a translation from a very important author. It's Celestino Prima dell'Alba by Reinaldo Arenas, translated by Alessia Arena by the Mar dei Sagrasti edition. This is about a poet escaping from his country's from various political reasons, and it's told both in poetry and, you know, new ways of writing. Like you have a pages like axe. I cannot wait to read all of these books. They sound so fucking interesting, especially the pirate one. So yeah, this was my experience at my first really big book fest. I had so much fun. It was challenging, but I am grateful that I went. And I'll see you in my next video, which will be probably my wrap up, so be on the lookout for that. As I said, my links are all down below if you want to connect with me. I am most active on TikTok. It's a fun time there. Go down below. And if you like this video, please leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Mwah!